married 13 years, a little over 13 years. August is our anniversary, and we have 3 children and a dog.
And they're 7, 5, and 3. We laugh because we think before we had kids, I don't know what we did. I think we slept more.
We did sleep a lot.
I think we watched way more TV and definitely went to more sporting events. Both like football, so we spent time doing that.
Yeah, wow.
Definitely more sleep.
Sounds pretty good. When we found out Sarah was pregnant, it was obviously joyous, but it was also like, okay, I think even at that point, a little bit of, you know, some of this freedom may have just walked out the door.
After Miles was born, I think we were most of all relieved that he was here, he was healthy, it was a boy.
I don't remember it radically changing after Miles was born.
Well, and
it seemed like there was still enough time that he was sleeping a lot, you know, so it just still felt like nothing, my world wasn't rocked at that point.
Yeah, obviously not, because he was gone for about the first 12 or 13 hours of the day. So when he got home, I set myself 2 goals, that when he got home, my teeth would be brushed and I would have dinner. And that was it. That was all I could accomplish. I hated that, just the way that I looked, and I felt tired all the time, and you want to feel like you've had this baby, so I'm done with maternity clothes, but that's a lie. I think Mark would get home from a terrible commute, and he would be hungry and tired, and then here was this great baby that would not stop screaming. And there would be times that we'd walk outside and just sit on the sidewalk thinking, what in the world is going on here?
You couldn't make the quality time, and it did seem like you'd go days without talking about something meaningful.
Yeah, and it was more of the emergency type conversation. Hey, I need this, hey, I need you to do that. And I felt like over time, it changed my perspective on Mark, that he changed dynamically from the husband to somebody else that was just requiring my time. And I think that affects just how the intimacy with each other, because, you know, that was just another dynamic that changed for me, because I thought, well, I can't do those things anymore. I'm a mother.
After number 2, when Davis was born, at that point it was like, it was all, you know, get up, get your to-do list ready, because you need to get busy.
The toddler at that point did have a good relationship with Mark. So there was Mark, and then here was Miles, the oldest, and then here was me and the newborn. And for me, I felt like Davis was a permanent fixture to my body,
yeah, that's for
because
sure.
Miles was so much into Mark at that point. I was jealous of Miles, because Miles got the best of Mark time. So even if Mark ran an errand, he and Miles got to, you know, ride in the car with the windows down, and they sang songs, and I got to stay home with Davis while he cried. And I feel like that was hard for me, realizing I wish I could leave Miles with the baby, and then Mark and I could go run errands in the car, because that would have really been more fun for me at the time. But
I'll take you to jail for that.
But I can understand that's illegal, but I feel like that was a big struggle. I'm not sure I ever...
Yeah.
I didn't, and you don't realize it at the time, because what that means is I stayed frustrated at Mark a lot. I mean, we had some of our biggest fights going to small group. I can remember clearly sitting in the driveway of our friend's house thinking, how can we possibly go into Bible study, because I can't stand looking at you, and I'm so frustrated. And it wasn't that Mark had changed so much, I think it was me.
We'd been married 3 years, and I had left a pretty high-powered job, a national cable network, to stay at home and be a full-time mom. And I frankly didn't know what I was doing. We were learning as we went, and we were very intentional about having a second child and wanting them to be close in age. And so I really thought we were building the family that we'd always talked about.
We just moved into a new house. So, I mean, we really couldn't have asked for anything more, it seemed like, at that time. Then we were surprised. I was called into the manager's office, and as it turns out, the bomb was dropped, so to speak. And that's when I found out that they were terminating my position. We had actually just come back from a vacation a week prior, and so it was just completely out of the blue, unexpected. After I found out and walked out of their office, I was devastated. I wasn't exactly sure what to feel.
I was so shocked. I was so surprised. I was 4 months pregnant with Quincy. I had a toddler who was very busy, and I was devastated. And I felt like my legs had just been cut out from under me. And I didn't know what he was gonna do. I mean, I really didn't. I didn't know what we were gonna do. My first thought is we're gonna lose our house. You know, how are we gonna pay for the doctors? He's lost his insurance. All I could think of is, how are we going to be able to afford this baby? And I know it's no surprise to you, God, but how are you getting us out of this one?
A year ago, our life seemed pretty normal, pretty typical, average, I would say. We had just moved to Atlanta. We have just moved into our first home, so we were transitioning there.
It kind of felt like we were starting to kind of put our roots down a little bit. Back in February this year, I think it was probably a Tuesday morning, woke up, got in the shower, and then, you know, all of a sudden I'm in the shower and I'm like, wait a second, there's this rather large lump like underneath my arm that, you know, wasn't there yesterday. And it was pretty, you know, some people ask me, how'd you know? It was pretty obvious. I mean, it was like someone had put an egg underneath my skin overnight, and it was just there, and I was like, you know, this is crazy. And so, you know, first thoughts are, oh my goodness, I've got cancer. A week after that, I went to see the surgeon, and he was kind of doing the exam, looking me over, asked me questions. He noticed a mole that was on my chest, and he kind of looked at it suspiciously and asked me some questions about it, and then he said, well, let's just go ahead and biopsy that to start off with. I went in a week later and had it biopsied, and it came back that it was melanoma. And so immediately, once we knew that, then they went in and took the lump out, which was a tumor. Melanoma had spread from the mole into my lymph nodes.
I remember he called me on the phone and said, it is melanoma, I do have cancer, and just hanging up the phone thinking this isn't real, this isn't happening to us, and maybe he's wrong.
It was pretty crushing. I mean, you know, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow, but it's just so easy to assume that, you know, you're going to wake up and you're going to be 70 and you're going to watch your kids get married and graduate from college, and you know, you're going to be able to do life. So we go to surgery, they take it out. Okay, you know, cancer's gone, good. They've gotten it, we're good. Well, then I go see the oncologist, and then it's like kind of the reality sunk in. Okay, you have cancer. It's gone now, but there's no guarantee it's not going to come back. And he started giving us scenarios about how long, you know, percentages for 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's probably a 50-50 shot that I'll be here in 3 to 5 years of this stage of melanoma. And there's definitely in there a lot of regret and guilt on my part, because I'd had this mole, and I knew it was kind of looked funny for like almost 2 years probably. Once we found out it was melanoma, I was like, man, just this sense of regret, like, wow, I could have, you know, perhaps if we'd have checked it out sooner, could have prevented all this, and what if I've robbed my kids of having a father, you know, what if I've taken away years from, you know, our marriage together.
We were floored, and I think it took several weeks before it really hit me how serious it really was. And for a while I was angry, very angry that it was happening. Almost angry at Michael for letting it happen to him, though, I mean, I know it wasn't his fault. And sad, too, that we could lose him so early.
I had a recurrence of the cancer about a month or 2 ago. After the initial surgeries, get the mole and the lump, I found another tumor on my abdomen, and so went in and got that removed, and it was kind of like this crushing, okay, God, I thought we were done with this. You know, I was just really angry.
For me, a lot of the times, going through the day wasn't so bad, but when I actually said it out loud, especially to my sister, who I'm the closest to, Michael has cancer, was just a really hard thing to say.
It's like, wow, you know, Jen didn't sign up to be the wife of a guy who has cancer. And we started a pretty intensive drug regimen, and so for like at least the first month, 2 months, I was pretty much worthless. I was on a pretty intensive, getting some stuff in me every day, and so it just wiped me out. I had no energy. It may have kind of put a little bit of distance between us on my part, just because like now we've got this different dynamic going on. We've got this cancer thing, and so while it's good we're both kind of in the trenches fighting it together, there's this sense of now my focus is towards something else. Time and energy that we could be spending towards each other is you know, thinking about this cancer thing and fighting it. And I tend to kind of withdraw when situations get tough. I tend to kind of, all right, try and do this by myself. And so I feel like, in some sense, I'm kind of withdrawn a bit from Jen and friends and family. Just kind of, I've got this thing and I've got to kind of shoulder it.
As the treatments went on, and then eventually I was giving him shots, he turned into my patient and not my husband. And that was hard. That was really hard, just because I wanted him to be my husband.